We talked about 10 games last time. Those games are dead to us because these games are higher on our 100 list. Let's get after it, 90 to 81.
Snick and Mud's top 100 games. But does anyone care what they have to say? Let's. I know I don't. Cause they may dab, they might scream, they may say some things that are plain wrong. Dab on it, dab on it. But they are dumb bing bongs. My teacher's better.
I hope I didn't hurt anyone's ears in that intro.
Mike came in very hot. It's early in the morning.
I'm Mike.
I'm Nick.
I have not slept much.
Yes, we are the brothers.
I'm a new parent.
Yeah, you are a new parent. She's very, very cute. His little daughter.
Yes.
But this is our top 100 games of all time. Last time we did our 100 to 91. Now we're doing our 90 to 81. Very excited. Before we start, we want to talk about Tabletop Alliance very, very quickly. This is a nonprofit that we are partnering with for our entire top 100. They give games to schools and teachers to facilitate game playing and facilitate learning in that way. There's a lot more. We did a whole video about Tabletop Alliance. We don't have to go into
more
it.
Info on that.
Every single one. So go watch that video, but there's a donate button on the right side of your screen there. Super, super cool. If you got a couple extra bucks, every dollar helps one kid. So if you get $5, that's 5 kids. We're trying to help 2,000 kids at least. So donate if you can. We'd really appreciate it.
Honestly, let's blast right past that number and try to help as many kids as we can. If you got a couple dollars, click that donate button while you watch us talk about some games. Nick,
Indeed.
90 to 81. We're finally getting into some good games now.
I know, finally, gosh.
All right, we're going to say that joke a few more times before this is over. Are you ready?
Yes.
Let's hit it with number 90.
I don't remember. Did I do the evens or the odds?
We said, we'll do this, and I don't remember.
Okay, so I'm going to go with evens then. Hi, everybody. My name is Nick Murphy. I guess my number 90 is going to be a game that we don't play very often, but you know what?
It's terrible.
Someday I'm going to get all the way through, and that is Lord of the Rings: Journeys to Middle Earth.
Oh, man.
Journeys to Middle Earth is it's based off of the Mansions of Madness second edition specifically system, where it is
app assisted
and a lot of you're playing a physical game, but like basically how the map is generated, what enemies go where, which enemies go, is all generated by the app, which is nice because then it's really, really randomized, and you can play the same scenario multiple times and it will be different. You're still doing the same kind of
the same goal, but like little elements about who you run into, certain tasks.
Like the first one, you're trying to find this like secret lair, and like where the secret lair is going to be different every single game because the app will just make it in a random place and then populate the tiles around it, which is really, really cool. This is the game where we have played the first scenario of this, I think at least 6 times.
So many
because
times,
we've introduced this game to so many people, and then I think we've played 2 more scenarios, and that's it. And here's the thing, it's still in my top 100 because I really
every time we play it,
game.
it's so fun, and we're always like, let's go deeper in, but we don't do campaign games.
We don't do campaign games. We don't.
Stuff, but man, it's so fun.
It's really, really fun. You take a character from Lord of the Rings. I think I was Gimli, Mike was Bilbo. And
the dynamic duo everyone's always wanted to see.
Really just crushing the height game.
Everyone wants to see Andre the Giant Bilbo just lay waste to some ogres.
It's so we are and you're going through the campaign, you're going through these different scenarios.
I meant orcs, by the way.
You did. I was going to point out that
Bilbo didn't decapitate Shrek.
I was going to point out that ogres do not exist in Lord of the Rings, but hey.
Uruk-hai.
We're getting off the rails early.
Just
let it go. Let it go. My gosh. Okay, so nonetheless, but this is a game where, again, you're doing campaigns, and then what you do in the game will dictate what happens. So if you don't find a lair in time, the second scenario will be different and harder.
You do progress, but you will face consequences.
Yeah, you're always going to at least fail forward, but you will face consequences for doing so.
It gets harder.
And you can like level up your people, but it's got it's ultimately a really simple system where pretty much everything you're doing, you're trying to find you're trying to get successes.
Yeah.
You're flipping over cards. Some cards will have successes, some cards will have nothing. You have gear that you can use, and you can use those successes for. It's really ultimately pretty simple, which is why we keep introducing it to new people, because we're like, isn't this a really cool system? And it is. I love Lord of the Rings: Journeys to Middle Earth. Someday I will play through it. Haven't done it yet.
We should commit some time to it because it'll be really fun to see where the story goes.
Here's the only thing we could do is we need to be like, okay, we're gonna do a 12-hour stream. We're gonna play through as much as we can.
I'm not against
because
that.
it's the only way we're gonna do it.
I'm
but
not
nonetheless,
against that.
That's my number 90, Lord of the Rings: Journeys to Middle Earth. I really, really like it. I want to play more.
Well, I hear the Windlord. The point is, I know Lord of the Rings.
You do.
Okay,
you
number
do.
90 for me, Nick, is
and his son.
Steve.
Steve or Lands of All the Swift,
Steve
but you're fine.
Eagle is his son. Number 90 for me is Whistle Mountain. This is a game that
I need to play this game more because I don't like it nearly as much as you.
I think, well, here's the thing I'll say this about Whistle Mountain. It's a mean game.
It's very mean.
It can be. you're vying for position and the way you build stuff. And the kind of theme of this is that we are kind of building up scaffolding. We are whistles, sentient whistles.
Sorry, I'm sorry, man. This one's going off the rails.
We haven't even had the coffee yet. In this game, you're building up scaffolding and stuff and building buildings in this kind of in this canyon, a Whistle Mountain Canyon, and you're doing that because the waters beneath you are rising. And you're using these airships. You have 3 airships, which are your workers, effectively, that are different shapes and sizes and stuff. You have like a little hot air balloon that's like a little 1x1 space, a little blimp, and like a dreadnought. So there's like 1x1, 1x2, 1x3. And what I really enjoy about this game is it's very spatial, because if you go and place your worker, you're placing it onto the board in that canyon, everything that's adjacent to your ship is going to trigger. And that might be gaining resources like water. If you're adjacent to the water line and stuff, you'll gain water for every like side that shares coal and steel and stuff, all whistles and things. And then there's various buildings that you can spend those resources to build. And once they're built up and stuff, you can then start to put your ship directly on those or adjacent to those buildings to activate them, which might give you points or might give you more resources or different things you can trade and stuff like that. And it can, I think it's just really fun. It does, the designers do this a lot with many other games like Energy Empire and Cryo and stuff, where there's this whole thing about like put some workers out and then you're going to eventually do a recall action, pull your workers back. And you're going to be able to do different things when you pull those workers back. And so there's really that kind of ebb and flow of like, oh, I really want to do my recall action because I want to do these special actions I can only do at this time. Let me put this worker out. And you're building up scaffolding to gain points and stuff. And you want to create scaffolding that's kind of whole. Those are polyomino tile shapes, so you can put buildings on top of them. And it's kind of typical tile laying stuff. You have to be fully supported beneath it. And it gets mean because if I build some scaffolding and there's like a nice little area, but I've run out of actions now during my recall action, Nick was like, okay, cool. I'm going to build a building right there because there's a nice thing. Thank you for laying that out for me. And you can get in each other's way. You can kind of mess with each other in terms of all the spatialness because we're sharing the same grid space effectively. So I think that's something that like can maybe not be...
It was surprising when we first played. We were like, oh, this is
a mean game.
Way meaner than we thought. And I don't mind that. It was one of the things you have to go into that knowing that.
Yeah, you got to be aggressive. But I think it's such a good production, the bits and stuff.
I will say the production of this game, the production of this game has no right to be as good as it is. It's insanely good for some reason. But I'm not against that by any stretch of imagination. But I was filming it and I was just like, that's right. This game has crazy production.
Like the bits are great. The ships are great. Everyone gets like a variable player power. You can upgrade your ships. So there's kind of like a lot of asymmetry that builds in. It's just really fun to explore. We probably doesn't get to the table as often because it is kind of mean. But like it's not mean in like a take that sense. It's just like you need to pay attention and build efficiently so you don't leave yourself exposed for someone else to then benefit.
That's what it is.
And that's all it is. So Whistle Mountain's my number 90. I think it's really fun and it's definitely buoyed by the amazing production. But the whole spatial elements of everything and the way I place this down and trigger everything around it is super fun to me. So that's my number 90, Whistle Mountain.
All right, let's get number 89.
Number 89 is perhaps...
the worst game on the list.
The worst game on the list.
Maybe. I don't know.
You're going to rue the day you said that because it's Cribbage, man.
Oh, no, it's great.
Cribbage, a classic card game with a standard 52 card deck and a little bit of a board which tracks your points. And it is a... hand management, like how do it's almost hard to describe cribbage in
game,
like,
honestly, that's how I would just put it. Like,
there's pegging and stuff where basically everything comes down to 15s, but you want to build a good hand of cards. It's kind of the main thing you're trying to do because you're going to be dealt out in a 2-player game, a standard game of cribbage. You're going to be dealt out 6 cards. You only get to keep 4 of them, and the 2 of them will go into the crib, and who has the crib will alternate between players. Whoever the dealer is gets the crib. So if I'm the dealer, the one thing I really enjoy is I can strategically discard those 2 cards because I'm going to get an opportunity to score with them later. So I might put some cards in that are good. What kind of cards are good? Things that make pairs, runs. You can do double runs where if you have like 7, 8, 9, 9, you can do 7, 8, 9, and then 7, 8, the other 9, and then the pair. That's 8 points right there. Anything adds up to 15s are good. 15s are really good.
So
and
7 and 8s are good.
7, 8, 6, and 9.
So if you get like a 7, 7, 8, 9 as your 4 cards, like that's a really good hand because you have a bunch of 15s and you have 2 runs.
You have the two 15s. That's 4 points. Double run is 8. That's 12-point hand right there. That's a good hand right there.
That's not including the cut card.
So you assemble that hand of cards, but then you go into like the pegging round where you're gonna play 1 card at a time, and whatever. If I play a 7, then Nick plays an 8, we're going to have a cumulative 15. You can go up to 31. So there's all these different ways to peg and score points is what I mean by pegging. within the playing out the cards round, you get all your cards back and you score your hand, and you kind of rinse and repeat until someone gets to 120 points, which is the end of the game. It's just such a classic game for us. This one has so much staying power because we were taught it by our grandparents. We played it all through childhood to help teach us basic things like,
math,
basic
math,
arithmetic,
Yeah.
which was really useful. And it was cool to like get good at something, to like start to learn how to recognize what points you might have amongst the cards in your hand and what to discard and stuff like that. So there's a lot of fantastic memories, and we have cribbage boards that our grandfather made when we were younger. Nick got me a cribbage board for Christmas the other year, and it's just a classic game that we keep coming back to. So
That's one of the best.
cribbage is one of the better things you can do with a standard deck of cards.
Yeah, I mean it's a classic card game for a reason. It's incredible. All right, my number 89 is a game that I assume will be higher on your list, but this is a game that I think will be higher in future top hundreds. It's just we just got this game somewhat recently. This is Glenmore 2, The Chronicles, or Glenmore 2 Chronicles. This is a game that we had heard about for a long time. Glenmore 2. People talk about like you're gonna like this game, particularly our good friend Matthew Jude. Like you're gonna like Glenmore 2. You need to try it because you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it.
He said that for quite some time, yeah.
For a while, and we just never picked it up. Never had a chance to.
Just didn't really ever come across it.
No,
Like, I
we
never
never
saw it
did.
physically in
No,
front of me.
never, ever. And so like we eventually, I think you found it online somewhere, and it was on
like Mitchell
sale.
Market on sale or something, yeah.
Because it's got tons and tons of modules, so it tends to be a more of expensive game. I think you found it cheaper once you're like, I'm gonna buy it just because it's cheaper and
Yeah, it's like $60 instead of like 80. I was like, I'm going for it.
Yeah. And so this game is super good. This is a tile laying game. You have a bunch of these tiles, and you're drafting out these tiles, right? And then you're putting them out. You're essentially
Just kind of like a rondelle that they're on,
Exactly.
and it kind of does a little bit of the patchwork thing.
a little bit, yeah. And you're putting them out. You're essentially building up your kind of Scottish Highland and stuff. And you have these workers that you can move around your board. But the cool thing about Glenmore is like there's so much variety just in the base game alone. There's so many different things you could do, so many different like avenues you can go, and it's just. You could play, that could be just it, right? But then Glenmore 2 Chronicles specifically has, 11 modules?
I think it's like 9 or something.
9 or something like that.
Ton,
It's
yeah.
like-
and then there's expansion that adds more. So
It's just insane. And
adds
so
Glenmore.
the one we did is everyone in their kind of kingdom area, there you have a river going through it. And you have to continue the river. You can't just like stop the river.
Yeah, you can only have one, so you can't have like another layer. There's one river, so if you have
And
river,
the river
you
has
gotta
to
add on.
You got to add on to the river if you get a river tile. And so then there's like the first module is called like the race, which adds a little boat meeple. And so now on top of doing the normal Glenmore stuff of building up your little kingdom and stuff like that, you're now having your boats that are racing around
So
essentially
rather than-
the table.
Yeah.
And you're trying to get back around to your river fast. And so it just add another thing. You're like, oh, that's interesting. And there's like all these different modules and stuff. And so Glenmore is on here because I really, really do enjoy it. It's already in my top 100. But this is one of those things where I'm like, next time we do this list, I think this will probably be maybe top 50 is my guess, depending on how good those modules are.
We like, sure.
Right? And
I
so-
mean, we love
This
tile
is a game that
placement
we
games,
love.
So
yeah, this is
like,
a game we knew we were going to love. I was like, this will probably be my top 100 before even playing it. Glenmore 2 is really, really fun.
It's really fun.
I really like I cannot wait to explore it more. It's kind of on the back end now because we just haven't had a chance yet.
Yeah, time will tell.
But it will be here.
Good pick. That's number 89. Let's get into number 88. Highway 88 Burgers, man. How good.
Oh my gosh, bringing it back. Anyone up in near Pine Grove, California? 88 Burgers, Giant 88.
Burgers,
Oh
Giant
my
88.
gosh, so is it still there, you think?
I'm sure it is.
Probably. 88 Burgers, Pine Grove, California. It's great.
Get after it. What's your number 88 game, though?
My number 88 is Baseball Highlights 2045. This is a game that I think we don't play this game very much anymore. And honestly, I'm not entirely sure why.
We've had it for a long time.
Every time we play Baseball Highlights 2045, we're always like, oh yeah, this is one of the best two-player games ever. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
It just doesn't get to the table very often, but this is a game that will always hold such a humongous place in my heart because I honestly think it's one of the coolest games ever. This is a game where you're simulating a baseball game. It's a two-player game. Technically play 3 or 4, don't. It's a two-player game. And essentially, you're going head-to-head, and it's a very interesting system. This is one of those games, if we ever did like a top 10 unique games, I would probably put this one because it feels so different.
The card play is, yeah.
Where you have like a hand of like 6 cards, and you're going to be playing a card on your turn. It's going to be some baseball player, and that baseball player is mostly going to generate defense and offense. And so it might be like they are going to catch a ball, and then they are going to threaten 2 singles, essentially. And so then what you do, there's a really interesting back and forth in this game because the defensive part is me reacting to whatever card Mike played.
What I just played
and then
last,
the offensive card is the thing that I'm threatening to do.
That I will then have to react
and
to.
then Mike, then, when he plays his card, he has to play defense. The defense part of that card has to deal with those 2 singles I'm hitting. If he doesn't deal with them, then I just hit 2 singles. You're trying to score runs. It's baseball, right? And so it's this weird back and forth where every card you're playing is kind of like half because of the other person's turn and then half because of your turn. And so it's this weird, like, it's kind of hard to wrap your head around, but it works really, really well.
It does. I always like to explain it thematically, is that every card you're playing is simulating an entire inning of baseball.
Exactly.
So it's both the defensive and offensive halves.
Yes.
But there's a great push and pull there of like, do I let you score these runs? Like you're threatening a home run, there's 2 people on base. That's going to be 3 runs. Do I let that go because the card I'm going to play is so heavily offensive that I think it's worth it? Or do I play a card that maybe doesn't have any offense or very little?
Just to deal with the fact that I was trying to hit
knocks off
3
the 2
home
runners
runs.
on base. You know, there's so many of those
It's
decisions of like, what do you
tactical.
let go and what do you, what you know.
Yeah, what do you let fly?
What
You're like,
battles do
okay,
you
I'm going to
fight?
let these 2 runs go because I'm pretty sure I can get 3 runs.
Yeah.
But then Mike might have a crazy defensive card. Because you have similar starting decks, but it's a deck building game. And after every game, you play a bunch of little mini games because each game is 6 innings, those 6 cards, and then you play another game. And
Playing
we
a
usually
couple
do
series of 5
We
or
usually
7
do
game
like
series.
a World Series, a best of 7 series. But the thing is, in between each game, you get to draft free agents, which are like way, way, way better cards.
Oh yeah.
And the cool thing is when you draft free agents, they go on top of your deck. So the thing is I saw Mike draft that crazy card, and I know it's going to be in his hand. So there's so much metagaming of like, when are they going to play it? Do I play this card to try to force Mike to play that card so then I can play this card? And it just
It's all
becomes
mind
this
games
like
in that way.
mind game, meta game, back and forth, super tactical baseball game. It's incredible.
It's amazing. The other thing that's great is that as you're recruiting all those players, you are sending down other cards from your hand into the minor. So you will only ever have 15 cards.
you
will
only have 15
never
cards.
have the deck
There's
bloat.
no deck bloat at all.
It's just about how
so by
good
the
of a
end
team
of that
can you
series,
craft.
you got a crazy team.
Yeah,
And there's
your
like
roster's only so large.
this game had tons and tons of like mini expansions. So there's just like so many free agents and cards. It's honestly, I think, one of the best
So much
2-player
stuff.
games ever. It's
I agree.
so interesting. It feels nothing like anything else out there.
Yeah.
Baseball Highlights is my 89. I'm 88 rather. It's so freaking good. Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm just going to double check and make sure I got it right. Number 88 for me is a game that Nick does not enjoy, but it is Tapestry, and I think it's great.
It's fine.
I think it's 88th great. This game
It's a
is
game.
all Nick. What do we love here? What do
Bumping
we
tracks.
Bumping tracks,
we do
baby.
we do love bumping
This game's got
tracks.
4 tracks.
Yeah.
You just bump those tracks all day. That's all you do is bump those tracks.
is-
How do you not love it? That's all
honestly-
you do is
here's
bump
the thing.
tracks.
Real talk, we should play this. It's been a while for me at this point. We should play this game soon because I don't entirely know why I don't like this game.
You're very much in the. This is a divisive
It's a
game.
divisive
It's very
game.
50-50.
Yes.
I feel like. I feel like
Yes.
it's very evenly split of people who really enjoy it or people who really don't.
Yeah.
And there's a sprinkling of people who are just sort of indifferent to it. But Tapestry is a civilization themed game. It is not a civilization game
It sure ain't.
in what you'd expect, where you're going to start in the age of antiquity and move forward to modern times. It is just sort of civilization type stuff. So you're going to be all over the timeline, which I know for some people is like, why do I have this before I've developed fire? The wheel doesn't exist, but I'm in space. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't
Because
really
I don't care that much about the theme. I just enjoy like seeing, oh, this is kind of fun, and this is happening over here and stuff. So I'm good with it. I'm good with it at the level that the theme is
Yeah,
at.
I have no problem with the theme.
But in this game, you have basically 4 tracks. On your turn, you're going to bump up one of the tracks, and there's like kind of a technology track, kind of a military track, an exploration, and a science track. And they kind of focus on different areas of the game. The thing I like about this game is just I like trying to maximize my resources, because as you're moving up those tracks, they're going to cost you resources, and you only have so many. You only kind of produce when you propel your civilization forward in time. You'll produce a bunch of resources and stuff, and then you have to kind of eke out as much as you can with those. And I just think it's so fun because you get to explore the board, and you have a science die that rolls stuff, which bumps you up these other tracks, and you can work out all sorts of fun, different kind of combinations. And here's the thing, I'm terrible at this game. I'm super bad. I do not know how to score points. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it in a meaningful way. I think I get something going. I'm like, oh my gosh, I scored 80 points. They're like, cool, I got 240 just now.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, what? How? And they're like, I'm good at this. I'm like, I don't know how
Apparently.
that works. This game is flawed and stuff. It definitely has its issues and things, but for whatever reason,
Love it.
as I'm playing it, I just enjoy the moving up the tracks and, ooh, what kind of goodie do I get? I get to put this tile out on the board. Oh, that's the one. I'm going to lay that out. And then I'm going to move my little pieces, my little salt shakers out there doing the military action, getting technologies and trying to level up those technologies and stuff. It's just something that is...
You love it.
Really enjoyable.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's just really enjoyable. Tapestry, it's the kind of the biggest mystery game that I have where I'm like, I don't exactly know why I like it, but every time I play it, I'm just going like,
That's enough reason. You don't need to have reasons.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
all. 88, Tapestry for me.
All right, let's get number 87.
Number 87 is an Uwe Rosenberg game that I had played a long time before you played, but now we finally have both played it. This is Newsfjord.
Yes, indeed. I really want to play it again.
It's so good.
It's really fun.
It's a snappy one.
It's quick, especially
This
two
is-
players.
Yes, this is a...
It's like, what, half hour? I mean, like...
30, maybe
Yeah.
40 minutes.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's really almost setup is equal to gameplay. Like it's
Yeah,
it's a quick
that's
one.
some real talk.
So this is another kind of bigger box Uwe Rosenberg game, which is all centered around kind of like you're in Scandinavia and doing fish stuff. It's really kind of centered around the fishing economy that you've got going.
Makes sense.
Because you're fishing out there, and that's how you're making
You're
your
going
money.
through the fjords with your fishing pole.
Going through the fjords with your fishing pole, and you're going to play through a number of rounds, and you're going to do kind of typical Uwe Rosenberg stuff. You're placing out workers onto this little central board, which is actually fairly like limited in terms. If you think of Beast Road has a million options, this one has a very few options comparatively.
Yes.
You can gain elders and stuff, which you can feed fish. You gotta bribe them, I
You
guess.
feed to the fish.
Feed the elders to the fish after to get karma. Flip it back.
To satisfy your fish lords. This game's real weird.
They'll give you kind of like special abilities and things you can do. And you're ultimately getting resources like wood. One thing I really enjoy is on your board, there's these kind of woods tiles. And you can cut them down by removing them to gain wood. You can reforest and put more things back on to kind of have resources to gain again.
Yeah.
And you're spending that wood and your money and stuff like that to build buildings and fill up your board because, of course, your board has a bunch of negative points on it.
Uwe
You
stuff.
got to cover those things up, either
Yeah.
with forests or other stuff. But there's like, this game just introduces a lot of things, but keeps it really quick. There's like stocks, there's like shares of your company, which you can
There are.
basically like sell.
Which I was very surprised when you opened that game. I was like, there's shares in this game?
And then every round, when you kind of go through the beginning, you're producing your fish based on like your shipping fleet and how many ships you get. Borrows that kind of like Fields of Arl. You're kind of putting more and more ships and you get more and more stuff. So it kind of has a lot of just different little
It's Uwe stuff.
Uwe touchstone.
Yeah, it's Uwe
points.
stuff. This is one of those games where
but
I
it's still
really
quick.
I've only played it once. I really liked it, but this is one of those games where I didn't feel like I did very much in the first game. So this is one of those games where I feel like as you play it, you're like, oh, and you start to be like, oh, now, because sometimes you're like, how do you do all this stuff? And then as you play it more and more, you're like, then you start to unlock things. And I think I really like News for it. It's not on my list because I've only played it once, and I just need to play it some more. But it's good.
This is gonna be the go-to. Like, oh, we want to play like an Uwe feeling game,
Yes.
like a Le Havre and stuff. We don't have as much
have 45
time.
minutes, yeah.
Let's play Newsfjord. And there's like an Uwe thing, lots of sets of cards and stuff. You can get into more kind of advanced buildings and stuff. So there's
ridiculous.
room to explore. Whether or not
Uwe
we
stuff.
ever make it to those, but Newsfjord is my 87.
All right, we have a crossover in the term of fish, because my number 87 is Oceans.
Ooh, good call.
Fish. Oceans is my number 87. We just played Oceans again recently because they had a new expansion, a little mini expansion on Kickstarter, and kind of a second printing of the game. And I really like Oceans. Oceans is in the Evolution, I guess, series of games at this point because there's like kind of multiple evolutions. There's Evolution, then Evolution Climate. I think there's like a My First Evolution kind of thing, and now there's Evolution Oceans. But Oceans is similar to Evolution in the fact that you're going to have a species, you're going to be putting different traits on that species. Like in this case, we're in ocean, so it'd be like inking, or maybe you're transparent, or maybe you're like a filter feeder. And you can take traits off and put new ones on because you're evolving. You're evolving with how the state of everything is.
What's the ecosystem looking like right now?
And I've always really liked Evolution. I especially really like Evolution Climate specifically. But Oceans is honestly just a significantly better game. It honestly is. I just think it's way more interesting because everything works in a circle. Because you're all in the ocean, everything is kind of connected. And the synergies you have between your other competitors, because you're competing against them, because it's evolution, natural selection is a competition ultimately. I say Americans won, we didn't win. Humans won. Get wrecked, freaking baboons. But nonetheless, but there's all these synergies where like so much of the stuff depends on the stuff that's around you. So like this species right here might have like leeching, which means they can take food from the general supply or whatever, every time the species on their left feeds. Now that species could be one of my species, so if I had that here, and then I had another species here, they're leeching off this one. But if I have it on the edge here, then it's gonna leech around the table. So anytime Mike's like rightmost one feeds, I will get some food.
We are all part of the web.
We're all part of that big food chain kind of thing. And it's just super, super interesting. And just the way you can manipulate stuff and change stuff up, and you can even have like these really big like you have like shark cleaners, which means every time a predator attacks another species around the board, they get a certain amount of food, and you can just like be attacking your own species and having your shark feeders do this. And so like there's all these different ways that you can work the game. And then there's these deep cards, which is this big deck of cards, which are essentially like super traits. They're like really bananas.
Yeah, some are like the modeled after the transparent or something, but they're cooler versions. But they're cooler. Just a bunch of wacky.
And then there's some that are just like bonkers. And they're cool because the game is very much like, take out the ones you don't like make this deck kind of your thing.
Yeah.
And then with the new expansion, there's now essentially kind of like player powers that you can have. You'll draft 4 of them and you can kind of switch them in and out. Yeah. Again, evolution style, where sometimes this player power will work, but other times you need this one. And it's just, I really, really like Ocean. Still got that really cool, vibrant art. I think it's really outstanding. I think in terms of evolution in that series, it's like by far the best. We still have Evolution. I don't know if we're going to keep it because at this point, I don't think I'd ever play Evolution over.
That's the main thing, right?
Yeah, and I really like Evolution Climate because I think the climate part of it makes it super interesting. But in the end, Oceans is still just a significantly better game. So that's the one we play. I really like Oceans. It's my number 87. Let's get number 86. Number 86 is, in terms of pure fun, I honestly think is one of the funnest games ever. Even if it's not necessarily the best game ever or my favorite game ever, but this is Rush MD.
Oh, yeah.
Rush MD is...
This game is amazing.
Pure bonkers fun. So this is kind of a
as
spiritual...
As fun as
sequel.
a hospital people are getting cut up can be.
Yeah, it can be real intense. This is a spiritual successor to
Kitchen
Rush, which is about working in a kitchen, equally a fun place
Feeding
to work.
people human body parts.
Exactly. It's a real weird game. But Rush MD, you are running a hospital. It's a cooperative game, and then basically the game takes place over 4 rounds. Each round is 4 minutes. It's a real-time game. And you essentially have to score a certain amount of victory points and keep your hospital's reputation high. Because if you accidentally kill a bunch of people, your reputation will go down, which is one of the ways you can lose the game.
You gotta get people treated.
Yeah, exactly. And so basically, you make this big plan. You flip or you start the timer, and then you have kind of essentially a lobby where you can have people come into the hospital. Where you can admit people into the hospital.
The urgent care, the ER, right?
And it's very, very much where like, okay, this person's feeling a little sniffly, it's not so great. And then you have to essentially do tests on them. And all the tests are these weird little mini games. Yeah. This is one of those games that's like really overwhelming at first because there's a lot going on. But you're like, oh, they need an MRI. So you have to bring them over the MRI thing. And you put them in these like cardboard
beds, like hospital beds.
Like hospital beds, which is amazing. And you put them over here, and it turns out their MRI, oh my God, they're dying. And they came in with only a sniffle. And so you're constantly having to react to like what's happening to these patients. And then you have to give them like meds and stuff. And this game is pure fun because the production value is like bonkers
Through the roof amazing. Through the roof because you're like, oh, they need these 3 yellow things, we always call them mustard, and 2 green things. And you literally have little plastic syringes, and you have to take out the syringe, and you have tweezers, and you have to put these things in the syringe, and then put it in there, and then put that in their hospital bed, and that's you giving them their medication. And you do have these little tweezers, and there are very specific things where you have to use the tweezers. Yeah, sometimes you can go free-handed, but if you're in the operating room and stuff, you're handling organs.
You're giving them
you
a
can't
new
go
lung.
barehanded.
You can't go barehanded. You're gonna
kill
kill
use
them.
tweezers, which is an added dexterity element, and on top of the real-time element. It's just a big set of toy pieces that works really well.
In like
this
a strategic
game is stupid fun.
It's dumb fun. It's so good. And like Kitchen Rush, all of your workers, it's a worker placement game. All your workers are sand timers that are like 30-second sand timers. We each have a doctor, and there's a bunch of nurses, which are like universal.
The real heroes.
So that's true. Every time you go somewhere, you have to flip over your sand timer, and you cannot move that worker until the sand timer runs out.
They're inside somebody right now.
Yeah, so you're in this weird and it's just like, in terms of pure fun,
Yeah.
It's one of the greatest games ever made. I mean,
so
it's
cool.
just like
There's inpatient stuff, which they're going to go into the hospital and do those tests. There's
Yep.
outpatient stuff, which are like simple, give them some meds, they
Yeah,
broke
you know,
their
they-
arm or whatever. And so you're balancing, like, how many people do you admit into the hospital? How many people do you treat in the outpatient?
because anyone you don't treat, their condition gets worse, and so you
then
have
it might become a problem.
and then they might die, and it's just like it's so fun. And there's now at this point there's more. There's like expansions, like a dentist
Two
expansion, ICU expansion.
a campaign. Yeah, there's a lot.
There's a lot to Rush MD. It's again pure fun wise. It's one of the funnest games on the planet. I think Rush MD is so incredible. It took everything good about Kitchen Rush and made it
For
significantly
us,
better.
like, there's no comparison
Yeah, it's
whatsoever
not even-
to the two. I'd always play Rush MD over
Yeah.
it.
Oh yeah. That's my number 86. We got to get rid of Kitchen Rush. 'Cause
Yeah,
We're just like,
you're
cool.
no need, we're good.
Yeah.
Nicely done. 86. My number 86 is a Reiner Knizia game, which is pretty different for a Reiner Knizia game because it has a board, and I feel like that's rare. This is Blue Lagoon.
Oh yeah.
This is ultimately a little kind of route building, I'll say, tile placement.
Kinda,
Game where you're going to have a board. It's all kind of very Polynesian themed. There's a bunch of little islands and stuff that are going to have different kind of goods or resources you can find in these little kind of worship stones and things. And the game is played in two distinct halves, which is our kind of favorite thing with the game. So in
Yeah.
the first half, you are just arriving to these islands and stuff. So you are a sailing culture. So you are very quick on the water. There's some spaces where you can place tiles that are on the water, some on land. And in the first half of the game, you can place a token on any water space. It does not matter where it is.
Yep.
You can be one over here and you can go way over there. You do not have to be touching something you placed before. If it's on water, you're good because you're just ripping around these islands.
Yeah.
If you get onto land, then you're walking and then you have to place tiles adjacent to something that's been placed before on land. And that's where you can start to go. And if you pick up a resource, if you land on a resource, you pick up that resource. There's a bit of set collection there.
Yep.
And what you're trying to do as you place out these tiles are a number of things. Get those resources because there's kind of set collection. You want to build a very long unbroken chain where you're touching many islands and there's no breakages in your little row of different tokens that get spent and stuff like that. You also want to have the majority of presence on each island because if you have the majority of presence there, you get points and stuff. And you want to hit as many islands just in general as you can.
Yep.
In that first round, one thing you want to do is try to think of a few strategic places where you're going to place on land for the second half of the game.
Yeah.
After the first half, we're going to score up all those things I just mentioned. We're going to wipe the board, but what you're going to do is you're going to have to choose, I think, 4 spots.
Well, you put these out during the first half of the game.
I'm sorry, yeah, my bad. You place out these huts during the first half of the
like
game.
little villages.
Right, and you're going to place out these huts. And so when you wipe the board of all your tokens and then reset all the resources, your huts will remain.
Yeah.
And that becomes the genesis of where you can start placing tiles out.
So
in the
now you
second
have to
half.
go out from your huts.
Have to go out from your huts. Same things apply. Same goals apply.
Yep.
You want to hit every island. You want to have the majority of stuff on the island, a
exactly
bunch
the
of
same
resources
game,
and
yeah.
stuff. However, now we have settled. We're fat and happy.
Mm-hmm.
We're not the same sailing people that we were before. So if you go out onto the water, you still have to go one space at a time. And as you mentioned, you have to start off from all of your huts. So you have to, and you have multiple around, and you can build out from those simultaneously and stuff like that. But now you're settled down, so you're not ripping around the waters like you were in the first half.
Yeah.
And it's the same goal. So you kind of do the first half, reset, do the second half, but the feeling is so different because your ability to navigate and stuff is so different. So it gives you this different feel.
Yeah,
and where you
placing
place
your
those
huts-
huts can really set you up for the second
It's really
half of the game.
strategic, yeah.
Yeah, and you're cutting off people's routes and stuff. So it does a bunch of simple stuff, but man, it's so good, so fun. And if you play a 2-player game, you're going to get a bajillion points because they don't scale the resources or anything in a good way. I'm like, cool, you just have like 1,000 points.
Yeah, it's great.
It's really, really fun. Blue Lagoon is one we will keep talking about forever. Really fantastic game.
Yeah.
It's number 86.
Let's get 85.
So number 85 is a game that we kind of came back to recently. We played this early on in the old career O gaming. This is Yokohama.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So Yokohama is a really fun.
I'm surprised. Oh, actually, I'm not surprised. You've always been very enamored with this game.
So I played it a long time ago, and I remember being like, "This is like breaking my brain." But I really enjoyed it. I've always wanted to play again. We saw it at a convention on a deal because you don't really see it around as much because TMG is RIP. So. We saw it. I was like, okay, it's on sale. I'm gonna snag it because I don't know, maybe it'll be the last time it ever.
We've always
appears.
wanted it, to be fair.
Always wanted it. And it's a game where it's just kind of like a resource management game ultimately, where you have your president and stuff. You're in Japan. You have a president and your assistants that you're placing out on the board, and your assistants are going around to these various locations. You're going to move your president through any spots you have assistants. You can kind of move through. So you're kind of like route building in a little bit of a way.
In a way, yeah.
And then wherever you land on, that's the action you're going to take. Some of them will just give you resources. Some of them will give you the ability to trade stuff around or turn in goods or donate to the church and stuff, gain money, all sorts of different things.
Lots of stuff.
But every action you ultimately land on, you want to have as much power at that location as possible because you'll get a much better version of that action depending on the amount of power you have.
Yeah.
And basically, power will come from anything you have on that thing. You might have a house or a trading post built there. You might have assistants there or, of course, your president. They will all contribute a power apiece. And so if I go to a spot that has like 1 power, I might get like 1 yen. But if I go to a place that has like all 5 power, I might get like 8 yen. So it's going to be a better kind of a scaling, escalating. The actions will become better and stuff the more you invest.
It's kind of worker investment in the way of like Architects West Kingdom. It doesn't work in the same way, but it's like where you kind of need to, you want to clump your stuff, or kind of like Tabletop Conference, you want to clump your stuff, but then all your stuff's clumped, and then you need to do other stuff. So you need to kind of like bring them around again. Yeah.
So the way it works is on your turn, you're going to place up to 3 assistants out into different locations, or you can put 2 into 1 location. That's that kind of investment piece.
Yeah.
Then when you go and make use of a location, your assistants are going to go away, and they'll be able to come back and stuff. So you have to, you can't just stay on the same spot and hit it again and again and again and again because you A, can't do that, and B, it weakens that spot. So you have to kind of then rebuild it up if that's something you want to hit. So that whole kind of like route building or sequencing of turns, where it's like, okay, I'm placing the assistants here. I want to go down here, but then ultimately I want to end up on this action over here and donate a bunch of money. So I'm going to kind of, as I'm placing assistants, I'm going to keep placing assistants on this final action. And I'm going to sort of take turns moving my way down to really be built up by the time I get there. And that's really fun to me. And something that like back in the day, I was like, I don't know how to make sense of this. And now I'm like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Like I get the sequence. I'm not like great at it per se, but like I understand like how to work this machine.
I will also say that like Yokohama, especially playing like a 4-player game of it where the board is even bigger because the board scales.
There's more
It
actions.
is one of the most intimidating looking games ever.
Sprawling and...
It is, and again, like it's really not that bad, but it is one of the most intimidating looking games of all time.
I
it's
agree.
just, it's one of those games where you're like, oh my god, there's so much stuff, and it's like it's not too bad, but I think that's a negative of the game is the fact that it looks so intimidating to the point where it's like honestly, like even if we're experienced gamers now, if I just saw that, I'd be like, this looks.
There's a lot of
way too
iconography because
intense.
there's like 5 or 6 different types of resources.
It's not that
It's all
bad.
basic once you understand what it is,
But it's
but if you're
something that
looking
goes
at it,
against
it's a
it.
visual just kind of
It's wild.
feast.
Good game, but yeah, I do think that's an
I think it's
issue
a
that
fair
it has.
critique. I think
It's
it's a fair
too.
critique.
It's very intimidating looking. But
Yeah.
it's good, really good.
That's very fair.
All right, that was what your number 85.
Yeah.
My number 85 is a game called Maglev Metro. This is a game that I think at this point definitely needs some new maps, and there are new maps to be fair. We
Yes,
just haven't
I'm
gotten them
excited
yet.
to infuse this game with some new life.
This is a game where you are building out. It's a route building game where you are building out train like kind of underground trains,
They're
magnetic rails,
magnetic levitation
indeed,
rails.
in the future. But basically,
These exist now, and they're cool, but not here because we don't
You're
have
basically building subways, is what you're doing. Yeah. And then, so on the base game, there's 2 maps. You can have like Berlin or you can have Manhattan. And you are essentially building out routes, trying to pick up passengers and drop them off where they want to go. It's ultimately a
Take them to work.
Yeah, you take them to work. It's a pick 'em deliver game. It's very cool in that way. Yeah. And it's got this really cool aesthetic where it's got these like triple thick tiles that are like bonkers thick. And then on top of that, while you're laying down your track, because you're connecting all of these different stations to each other with your track, and only you can go on your track, but the track pieces are transparent because multiple people can be along the same route.
Yeah, you're just building on top of each other.
You'll see that in like subways. You see there's like 4 routes and then they'll kind of go off to wherever they're going. And so you have that a lot in this game, and you're essentially trying to pick up passengers and then drop them off. So like kind of a lilac character has to go onto like, I think it's an office, which is the lilac tile. So you're basically picking people up, moving them around, dropping them off, and then they go onto your main board. And your main board is cool because all your commuters, which are like, they're like coral, pink, lilac, and like purple, they're mostly going to give you points and unlock some other stuff on your board. But then there's also these brass, gold, and silver robots, and you are dropping these robots off. And every time you drop a robot off, it goes onto your board. And on your board is essentially a little engine building thing, because you put your robots in these little slots on your board, and that kind of dictates how strong your actions are.
Yes.
So each action, for the most part, can have up to 4 robots in it. They always have one printed on them.
That action will have like that many action points.
Exactly. So if I had 4 robots in the move category, I can then move my train for 1 action 4 spots. But if I only had the 1 printed robot there, I can only move 1 spot. And then there's ones for like how many people you can pick up, how many people you can hold, how many people you can drop off, how many people you can use to refill a station. All these different things, but there is one called adjust. And adjust means you then can move the robots around. And so you're constantly like building up this engine, ripping it apart, building it again, ripping it apart, and moving it around to whatever you need.
That's one of the coolest things about it.
It's really, really cool. And then you're using those commuters, again, mostly to score stuff, and you have like these scoring cards, and it's really, really fun. I really, really like it. I think it's a really fun little puzzle. And then now there's like, it's a double-sided board. I think there's now like 3 or 4 more boards that are all double-sided.
Like a little bit of types of workers or things that change up the game state a little bit.
They seem to be quite different. I'm really, really excited for that because I think this is kind of like a Ticket to Ride thing where it's like, give me more maps. Just give me more maps. It's going to be cool. And there's like one that's like an amusement park, one where you're like picking up these big old mechs and stuff. It seems very, very cool. I really like Maglev Metro. I'm just very charmed by this game. It kind of went under the radar. I feel like it was really hot when it first dropped and then it kind of got forgotten about, unfortunately. I really like it though. Maglev Metro's on 85. Let's get an 84. My number 84 is one of my favorite Restoration games. Shout out to the OG sponsors, Restoration Games. This is Downforce. I really, really like Downforce.
We just played this fairly recently.
We did just play this fairly recently. This is the only knock I can give Downforce is I want to play it at 6 players. It is it's so by far best at 6 because what's going to happen is you are owners of Formula 1 cars. And in a 6-player game, everyone gets 1 car. In different player counts, people could have like 2 cars.
Yeah, all cars will always be in play.
Yeah, it can just get a little complicated with that, but nonetheless, 6 players is perfect because everyone gets 1 car. And essentially, so I might be the red car. Every car will also have a random special ability on it, and you'll be bidding for what car you want. But then that money will go against your score because your score is to have the most money at the end of the game.
So
you don't want to bid too high, but if the power is really good, maybe you will. And essentially what's going to be, you have all these speed cards, and the cards on them will have the different colors of cars in the game. And then, so when you play a card on your turn, you will then move the cars that are on that card. Cars and cards. It might be like the very top one is the yellow car is going to move 6, and then orange is going to move 5, red's going to move 3, and then black will move 1. And you have to move them in that order. So the thing is,
you must move all cars. You don't get to like, oh, that's not my car, so I'm not moving.
Not
You're
doing
moving
that.
Everything.
And so you're constantly moving all the cars, and you have a car, and so you want your car to come in first because you'll get money if you do.
Preferable.
But then throughout the game, you're going to have these betting lines, and so there's 3 of them in the game, and then whenever one of her car passes those betting lines, everyone then stops and bets on who they think is going to win. And you do not have to bet on your own car. If your car is just dying out there, you're like, screw it, I'm not betting my own car, I don't care. And you can bet, and then if you bet and you get correctly, you'll get money for it at the end of the game. And the game will end once 3 people have crossed the finish line, because then we have like first, second, and third.
Right.
And it's just really, really fun. It just works really, really well. I do like the fact that like you're moving around the cars, but you own the cars, but you're not really the cars. And in the end, it cannot matter if your car does well or not, depending on how you bet and all this kind of stuff. And you can have these really like late surges where someone's super far behind, they end up winning the whole thing. It's really, really fun. This game is also a game that you can scale down for kids really, really easily, because you can just like play it where it's like, hey, we're all working together trying to get all the cars across the line. Let's do that, because you can like bottleneck and stuff. It's really, really fun. I like it. My only detriment is that I want to play it at 6, and I kind of at this point refuse to play it unless I'm playing it at 6. Yeah. So it's really much a convention game at this point, but I really love Downforce.
Perfect time. That
it's
gives
the
us
best
the
time
frequency
for it anyway,
to play it that we need. Yeah, I think that's a perfect
Downforce, 84, it's great. There's a bunch of different maps now. It's wonderful.
It's fantastic. My number 84 is the game that got us here, that really kicked it off. And this is Pandemic, all right? Yeah. I'm lumping all the kind of pandemics together.
Yes.
The versions.
Would your favorite be Iberia?
Legacy. I think my favorite would be Iberia out of the basic ones I've tried. I certainly haven't played them all, so I don't know. But
quick semantics question. Would you consider like Wrath of the Lich King in here? Not that you would like this more, but to me, those are like so different.
Because that's a Pandemic system game, and I do think it's different. I do think like that and the Clone Wars version are different. They're more
I was just
different.
Curious. It doesn't matter for this, right? But
Fall of Rome really kind of kicked that off. Where
Fall of Rome's way different.
Just it functions differently. So, but like Pandemic Iberia. I'm good with either. Pandemic Iberia has been really, really amazing.
the
It's
best
one that
one.
I probably would still try to hunt down if I found it on like a sale.
Yeah.
Pandemic's a fantastic cooperative game where you're trying to save the world. That's something that like for us, and I think for a lot of people who Pandemic is kind of like one of the first games they get into, it's a really easy scenario to buy into.
Yes.
Like, let's save the world.
Yeah.
You're like, sure, I want to be a hero. That sounds
why
great.
not?
And obviously it's a little bit more true to life now and a little bit less maybe fun in that regard. But back in the day, it was fun to be like, there's this global pandemic. We got to cure these diseases. We got to work together. We got to fly across the earth and build like research stations in Essen. And what's Essen? Well, I don't get that. People are like, that's a place where board games stuff happen. That's a little Easter egg.
Inside
I'm like,
baseball,
cool.
yeah.
And so it's something that we played over and over and over, showed to so many people. It was a game that we owned like and didn't really know about the board game hobby at large
Yeah, for a
still.
long
And we had
time,
that game
yeah.
for a long time and played it for a long time. So Pandemic is for us and a lot of people like the gateway game that got us here.
Yeah.
That really made us like, I want to play that again. Oh, let's play it 2 or 3 times in a night. Like this is so cool. Like, you know, we had never experienced that with a board game before.
The Star Wars one just came out as a testament just how good Pandemic
my gosh.
is. They're still making it, you know.
Exactly.
And here's the thing, I just played the Star Wars one. It's great.
Yeah, it's
great.
really fun. It's really fun to work
All the
together.
legacies are great.
Yeah, it's really fun to have like the game be against you. That was something that like was
Yes.
a new concept, and the game is like probably going to win because it's really hard.
it's tough.
All those things are just were so exciting and new, and I had never seen something like that before in my life.
it was great.
Ever. And the game is really fun. It's really solid. You get a little player power. So I'm good at this thing and you're good at that thing. So how do we make that work the best?
It really is such a good way to expand people's ideas. We talked about this multiple times. To expand people's ideas of what a board game
Can be, yeah.
Because it's like, it's cooperative. You have player power, so you're all different. It's just, there's so many different things there to be like, I didn't know board games could be this.
Yeah.
And it's like, they can. There's a lot more. Come join the cult.
Come on down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Pandemic's great.
Pandemic is fantastic. We all know about that one. That's number 84. Still on the list. Still great. It's not
Still
a top
great.
10 game anymore,
No,
but I can't think of many games that deserve to have respect put on their name more than Pandemic.
Fair.
Straight up. So that's 84 for me. Pandemic. Let's get to number 83. Number 83 is a game that I really, in the first couple plays in particular, was like so high up on. Nick, what do we like doing here?
Bumping tracks.
Bumping tracks, Nick. Hadara.
Oh, you do like
You
it.
just play cards and bump tracks all day.
I was blown
all
away.
you did.
I was blown away. This is still on your list.
It's so fun. Here's the thing.
It is fun.
Hadara, it has some expansion stuff, which we have not tried yet. Even someone's offered a couple times to send it to us, and I keep forgetting because I have a new baby and baby brain. So if you're out there and you're seeing this and you're going like, I told you.
Hit us up again.
I'm sorry. We'll be better. I do think it needs some expansion material because if you play like a full 5-player game, you're going to see every card in the game.
Yes.
On the first play.
Yes.
I do think that can be a detriment at times because like what you're doing is you're ultimately spending your money to purchase cards and put them into your kind of civilizations, a civilization themed game. And they're going to give you bumps on tracks for either money or culture or military or your kind of agriculture. And then there's also like a purple, which doesn't have its own track, but sort of technologies and will break the game in different ways or give you different discounts and stuff like that. But mostly comes down to if you have enough money, you're going to, in the first phase of the round, there's 2 phases to every round, which is really fun.
Each epoch.
You're going to get 2 of a color. So say like my player symbol is faced toward purple. I'm gonna get 2 purple cards. I'm either going to buy or discard 1. If I discard, I'll get some money. And I'm going to discard the other to a discard pile, which will come back up. So that one that's either played down or trash is gone.
Yeah.
The other one gets discarded, will come back later. And we're gonna do that. We're gonna get a chance to buy every color.
Yeah.
Every of those 5 colors. Then in the second half of the phase, we'll get some income and stuff like that. So you have a little bit more money because you're ultimately spending money for all this stuff.
Yeah.
In the second half of the phase, you're no longer going color by color specifically and around the wheel. You can take any card that's showing face up on a discard pile.
Yeah.
Any face up card from any of the colors is available. And you're going to take a card and you're either going to buy it and put it in your thing or trash it for money.
Yep.
But you must do that with one. So like the difference in the second half of the round, and like, oh, I'm going to get access to all colors, but then now if I really want blue, I can keep going for blue so long as there's cards left to purchase.
Or if you
It's
really like
fun.
both cards you got in the first round, you can discard it and be like, hopefully I get this one later.
Yeah. So I think that is so fun.
It's really
and you're just
cool.
bumping up these tracks and getting more and more money. So every time the income phase happens, you get more and more money. Your military allows you to get these tiles, and that's you doing, unfortunately, like probably colonialism stuff. But it's just sort of like, oh, you conquered this land, you get a tile. It's all abstract. The culture allows you to like carve sculptures and stuff like that.
It's a Civ game. It's a Civ
and then those cards,
game, right?
it's exactly.
There's military, there's culture,
all
there's
typical
food,
stuff.
there's agriculture. It's just it's Civ stuff.
Yeah, so Civ stuff, but like all the cards you buy are gonna be worth points and things. You're just trying to buy up as much stuff as you can, but bumping up those tracks, and you get like. You might get your money track up to like into the 30s and stuff, so it's very satisfying that way because bumping tracks is cool. So it's one that like I think needs expansion materials because you just have seen everything.
Yeah.
But some of those first plays were so high up.
Yeah.
I don't know if this will stick around forever, but for now, still, I'm like, yeah, that game's really fun. Yeah. So that's Hadara.
Yeah, indeed. All right, my number 83 is by Praise B. We got to probably have a Praise B every single list. Phil Walker Harding. This is Silver and Gold. This is a little teeny little game. It's a little roll and ride game by Praise B, and it's got no theme essentially. But basically, what you do is you have these cards. All the cards are like dry erase cards, which is very cool.
Yep.
And you have these cards, and they'll have kind of big open areas on them, little grids. And essentially, you're going to flip over a card, and that's going to be some kind of like general Tetris shape, like an L or a box, something like that. And then everyone will take that shape and then mark off spots on their cards.
Kind of make that shape.
Put that shape somewhere on one of your cards, and then once you fill a card, you then get to keep that card, and you'll grab another card. And that's mostly what you're doing. You're basically just trying to fill these in. And then score points because all the cards are going to be worth points. Yeah. And some cards will be worth points, but then they're like, oh, also for every orange card you have, you get these extra points. So you're doing a little bit of like set collection in that way. And then on these cards also, there's like palm trees because theme or whatever, because I guess it's like
desert island
themed, I guess. I don't know. But no, and you can mark off this palm thing, and if you mark off more of those, you get points. There's also like these red X's. If you ever mark off an X, you get to mark off one spot on any other one because you also like sometimes can have a little spot on an island. It's hard to fill that spot. So it's just a simple little game where you're filling it. This is a great game we play on like planes all the time.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great game to introduce to like super non-gamers because you're like, look, flip this, we're gonna flip this over, put this in here, try and fill up the stuff. It's just one of those great like gateway games where everyone can understand it. It's kind of like Tetris, so you have that tie in there. And it just works. It just works really, really well. And I just love it. I love it. I think it's outstanding, and I think it's really, really good as that perfect little like travel game. Again, it's not like my favorite game, but it's like it makes my top 100 because we play it so often. Every time we go anywhere, we usually bring it just because it's like, hey, like this will go over well. It'll go over easily. It'll go over well with people. Agree. Silver and Gold is great. It's absolutely wonderful. Praise B, never misses, and just the absolute best. That is my number 83. Quick and easy, Silver and Gold. Love it. My number 82, I was actually kind of surprised this was as low on the list as it was, is Unmatched. And I would say just the Unmatched system as a whole.
What?
I love Unmatched. I think in general, I'm actually just more excited for new Unmatched rather than like, I guess my excitement for new stuff in this game is greater than my enjoyment of the game.
It's
you know what I mean?
It's a collection item at this point.
It is at this point.
For sure. There's a piece of that where it's like, I just want to get the new sets and see all the stuff.
Exactly.
And like if we don't play it a ton, it doesn't really matter.
Exactly. And don't get me wrong, like I love Unmatched. It's on my top 100 list. I obviously really, really enjoy the game.
Yeah.
It's a quick little 2-player. You can play 3 or 4, but like really it's a 2-player game in my opinion.
A little
skirmish game where you take some character from a lot of different stuff. Usually it's kind of like mythology, like King Arthur, but now there's like Buffy the Vampire Slayer and stuff like that. There's a whole bunch. And it's a 1 versus 1, and then you have a hero, maybe a sidekick as well. And you're trying to knock out the other person's hero through card plays. Every character has a very unique deck, and that deck honestly feels like that character would do. King Arthur is strong and hits really hard, and has like Merlin with him, and
swinging magic.
Buffy
around.
like moves around quick, is like kicking stuff all the time, and it's just like it just depends on the character. But the characters in the decks really honestly feel like they should. Like they feel like, oh yeah, this would make sense for this character. They've done an incredibly good job at that.
Yeah.
And there are at this point like, how many different characters? Like 40 probably? Like there's a lot of them.
Anyway, there's so many.
And they're not going to stop anytime soon.
No.
And they usually come out with a couple different sets a year. And they just came out with the Houdini versus the Genie one. Very, very interesting. Very, very cool. But this is one of those games where it's like, I just want the new set. Like I'm just so excited because the art is like so good. They really like knocked it out of the park with the art. And it's just so interesting to be like, oh, I wonder how I wonder how the Raptors from Jurassic Park are going to play. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I wonder how Medusa's going to play. Oh, that's interesting. It's just so fun to explore the new characters. They've gotten to like Marvel stuff. They've gotten to some IP-based stuff. But my favorite ones are always the ones that are just based off of like myth and legends. Cobble and Fog is still probably my favorite set. Although Battle Legends Volume 2 is also really good.
It's between those two.
But we even made our own set, which is like super fun. And it's just cool. And like there's a huge following for this game. There's starting to become a really
great community.
Strong tournament scenes happening. There's like a whole website where you can like make your own Unmatched. And like instead of like Restoration Games trying to like shut that down, they just kind of embraced it. They're like, hey,
Houdini versus Genie is a product of that. Like they held a competition saying like, give us your best characters.
Yeah.
And they're like,
and that's how it is. And so Unmatched is incredible. I love it. And I will buy every single set because honestly, I just want them as collector's items. I think they're absolutely incredible. I love
so amazing.
Unmatched. I think it's just one of the coolest systems out there.
Agreed. Very nice. My number 82 is a game that was appeared on this list even. A near crossover perfectly is Baseball Highlights 2045.
Ooh, really?
I love baseball.
He does.
I love robots.
I love baseball. Michael loves baseball.
I love baseball, robots, and robots playing baseball. And
I forgot to mention that. Yeah, it's like robots too. I forgot about that.
It's set in the future, so it's set in 2045, and you have like cyborgs and robots playing alongside like the naturals, they call them. They're just straight up plain as day humans. So Baseball Highlights, all the things that Nick said earlier ring true for me. The push and pull of like, what do I focus on? Defense, so I go all offense, so I try to have a balance here, and then, of course, using the cards you have, but the little things like, again, all the mind games you play about the cards you draft. You can put in a card down as a pinch hitter, and then if you have a card that has a pinch hitter symbol on it, you can swap it out, so you can like hang on to some big bruiser, can hit like 3 home runs right at the end of the game, and so you see that card placed down, but it's face down, so you don't know what it is. You're like, what are they planning? Like,
what's there? What
are you going to do? What's your goal here?
It's so good.
There's just so much of the mental mind games of like, what are you going to let go? You're going to let me hit that double, or you're not? You know, I'm going to steal a base on you. Watch. And then setting yourself up for like, if I have a runner on second, I play like a clutch, the keyword clutch. That means if someone's on second or third, you get to this bonus like hit, and there's no stopping it. Yeah. There's no stopping it. If they're a clutch player, you can't do anything to stop it. So there's all sorts of ways you try to set yourself up.
There's tons of keywords of like, in this situation, it's just like, it's so
nice thing is though, the keywords aren't like, you have to remember what the keyword says. It will tell you right there what it does. But that's like Magna Glove means you're going to catch 2 things, but also just says catch 2 things. So like, I'm like, thank you for doing that.
Yeah, it's just
keeps the game easy. It's so fun. It's really, all the characters are named after like combinations of players from today and in the past. So it's like, oh, that's that person.
That's Clayton Kershaw. Yeah, exactly.
It's just really, really cool. And it's about a sport that we love and I am really obsessed over. So
I still maintain, if you don't like baseball, I still think this is a very fun game.
Agreed.
I just think it's better if you do like baseball.
Yeah, it could be about war or something and probably have similar mechanisms, but baseball is way cooler. So my number 82 is Baseball Highlights 2045.
All right, let's get the last one, 81. Ooh.
My number 81, it's a former number 1 game of all time. The first number 1 game that I ever, when we first did just our top 25 for the Dice Tower.
It's true.
Top 25 of all time. This is Clank, a deck building adventure. Yeah. This is we just recently played this.
Because I've been like, I want to play Clank.
So fun.
Dude, Clank is so good.
It's so ridiculously fun. It's a dungeon delver game where you're just going down into the deeps and the tunnels of some dragon's hoard of treasure. And you're just trying to steal stuff.
Yeah, that's great.
And you're using deck building mechanisms. You're getting this deck of cards. You're going to be buying more, better cards and stuff like that and shuffling your deck around. And as you draw out your hand of cards, you're going to get some amount of influence or kind of the ability to buy cards. You might get some gold, which can be spent on specific items, or they are just worth straight up points on their own. And you can get movement and kind of swords. So the movement will allow you to move from room to room to room, which is how you navigate down to get the most juicy artifacts. Yep. But there's things like monsters that will appear in the hero row of cards that you can draft from. There are some pathways that you must cover, crossover, that have monster symbols on them. And if you can use your swords to protect yourself against that, or to fight a monster that's in the row of cards to draft, which will allow you to get like, you know, specific benefits and stuff like that. You're just trying to explore, flip over these minor and major secrets to gain stuff, get as much kind of money and loot as you can, and then hopefully make it back out of the dungeon completely, or at least to the line where you make it above ground. If you make it above ground and keel over dead, you still get to score at least. But if you're way down there in the very depths, you're in the dragon's lair now.
Dragon food,
and if you eat it, you become part of the treasure. You don't get to score any points. So it's just really fun to kind of push your luck on that front. And like, how far can I go? And as you're going around, you're making noise. You're clanking around. And every time you get the clank symbol, you have to add a cube to the little clank area of the board. Don't worry about that. But every so often, the dragon's going to kind of get riled up. And all the cubes in the clank area go into a bag. And then you shake it up, you start drawing cubes out of that bag. So if you've made a lot of noise, you have a higher likelihood of drawing cubes out, which then go onto your little damage track and could eventually wipe you out. So it's about like how kind of fast and loose you want to play, because some cards are like powerful. They allow you to run really far, but they make a ton of noise. You're like, well, am I down for that? Is it worth it? You know, do I try to be a little bit sneakier and slower? And it's just kind of fun deck building mechanisms outside.
There's like a whole bunch of different boards too. There's like Clank in Space, which is like the space one. There's now like Clank Catacombs, which is like the board is like changes and stuff like that.
Modular as you play. Yeah.
So it's like
it's a lot of Clank out there.
Clank is so good.
Yeah, I love it.
Really is.
It's really, really fun. We hadn't played it in a while. Then we replayed it, and I'm like, yeah, it
deserves it.
Deserves all the love that we've given it over the years, for sure.
If we hadn't just played, do you think it would have been on your list?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Yeah, it's great. It's not on my list, but it's outstanding. Yeah. All right, my number 81 is a game that is it's very cute, and that is Honey Buzz. I really like Honey Buzz.
Baby.
Honey Buzz is a great game to introduce to, not necessarily non-gamers, because maybe a little bit too complex for non-gamers, but like
it's puzzly.
It's super cute. It's probably the prettiest game ever made. It's just gorgeous.
So nice.
I will say with Honey Buzz, I do think at this point, now granted there is an expansion that
I'm really excited to see what that brings.
But I do think it needs an expansion at this point. I think I've played the base game enough where I'm kind of like, okay, like I really obviously still really like it, but I think the expansion will breathe a little bit more life into it. But it's got this very interesting action selection. It's a very, very interesting action selection kind of way of doing stuff. So you have your little beeples, your little bee meeples, and you're putting those out as kind of like a work replacement spot, and you're going to be getting these parts of your hive, essentially. Yeah. These little hexamino tiles, like dominoes, but hexes. And you're going to put those in your hive. You're building out your hive, and every time you completely surround an area in the middle, it'll be like a little hex area, that then is a completed cell, I think is what it's called. So and then every action that's around that cell, you then get to activate. And the activations mean you get to have a fan that's going to give you honey. You can fulfill orders. You can get new bees, so you have more workers. You can just get straight up points. There's one that's like a wild that you could use. And it's just like, that's a big part of the game, is you're putting out your beeples to get these hexamino tiles, but then you're trying to complete these cells to do these actions. Yeah. And then you're fulfilling these orders, and the orders are going to want different kinds of honey. So you want like wildflower honey, or you want like acacia honey or something like that. And then you have this little foraging area where you have the little beeple going out, and you're basically picking up new kinds of flowers. You're picking up pollen. And then you're putting it again into your little hive area, and that's how, again, that's the spot that they're giving you honey to fulfill these orders. It's really, really cool. It's really, really pretty. It's absolutely just an adorable, charming game. I do think it needs an expansion, but there is one, so I'm very excited to try. It's like very autumn themed, and I'm like, ooh. But it's just like
highly excited for it.
It's just so freaking cute. Your bees who are like, I'm tired of all these bears stealing my honey and stuff. We're going to start selling this honey instead. So all the cards are like all these woodland animals coming, like buying big vats of honey and stuff.
Back. Oh, that's great.
It's just so freaking cute. It's just amazing. I love Honey Buzz. I think it's outstanding. It's my number 81. And that is the end of this particular part of the list.
Oh, snap. Thank you so much for joining us for another section of our top 100 games of all time. This is 90 to 81. We got more to go. If you didn't catch our 191, there should be a card flying around over here for that. And what you're seeing down here is our patrons. We want to take time to thank our patrons.
Appreciate you.
As always, for your support. If you are a patron, one thing that's going to happen is the day that our 10 to 1 launches, we're going to release on Patreon a casual talk where we're going to go through our 100 to 200 games that will release on YouTube later, but then we're going to do our 200 to 300, which will only be on Patreon. So we always do extra content based on our top 10s for our patrons. So become a patron today to check out all that good fun stuff.
Indeed, and make sure to check out Tabletop Alliance. Again, if you got a couple extra bucks, please feel free to donate over there. You can also donate your games. That's what the games that they give to schools. It's super, super cool. Check them out, and again, check out that video where we explain more about it, because Tabletop Alliance really, really is awesome. But that's going to be it. We're going to get out of here. My name is Nick Murphy.
I'm Mike Murphy.
We're the Brothers Murph, and that is the continuation of our top 100 games of all time. We'll see you later, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you so much for watching that latest installment of our top 100 of all time. God, those games are trash. Am I right? Make sure to check out Tabletop Alliance. Again, if you even have $1, that's one student that you're helping. Please, please, please donate it if you got it. We really want to try and raise this $2,000 because we think it would be very, very cool. Make sure to check out our channel sponsors, Lucky Duck Games, Restoration Games, and Board Game Geek. And our sponsor for the month is Board Game Anonymous. Your board gaming needs are met with Board Game Anonymous, or rather, I suppose if you meet too many of your needs, something like that. You know, Board Games Anonymous is helping board gamers. 1-800-888-8889-7426. That's just the area code. Board Games Anonymous, check them out.